Hey, what's up everybody? This is DJ John Pike here with a video to talk to you about elevating your DJ setup. Maybe if you've got a lower budget to something with sound that's gonna fill rooms with crisp, clear audio, big bass, clear highs. Let's get into it. So, I'm an open format DJ. I DJ a lot of weddings, corporate events, parties, things like that. And I love my DDJ Rev7. This thing really upped my game. I love all the features and I especially love the sound. The first DJ controller I ever got was the Rev5, which sounds great, looks great, everything about it I really enjoyed. And when I upgraded to the Rev7, I noticed that the sound quality was so much clearer. So one thing that I realized when I made that upgrade from the Rev5 to this Rev7, as a music producer, something I should have realized long before that, is that the digital to audio converters in something like a controller work the same way that they would in an audio interface. If you're not working in studios, recording, producing, songwriting, something like that, like I've been for many, many years, you might not know that the DAC, digital to analog converter, actually makes a huge difference. You've probably seen in lots of studios and videos people using things like the Universal Audio Apollo or maybe the RME interfaces. There's a wide variety and a wide range in price of different what we call audio interfaces, but what are really ADCs, analog to digital converters, and DACs, digital to analog converters. And in that same way that we encounter electrical signals, turn them into ones and zeros, and back and forth with an interface in a studio, we're doing a lot of that same stuff with modern DJ controllers. So when we're sending our digital audio, our ones and zeros from our laptop into a modern controller like the Rev7, or like I'm about to show you, the FLX4, what's gonna happen after that is it's gotta send that digital audio, convert it into electrical signal to send out of the outputs, such as the XLRs, or the RCAs, or quarter-inch TRS, all these different output types that come on different controllers. What a lot of people think is that the shape of the connector really makes the difference. They say XLR sounds better than an RCA or than a TRS quarter-inch. This is actually a common misconception. All connections are the same. They're just connections for different types of signals. What's gonna matter most is whether that's a balanced output, like an XLR versus an RCA is an unbalanced. There's 2 points of connection instead of 3, XLR. And even more important than that is the signal that's being generated by the DAC. So what I noticed that there was a big step up in the audio output from the Rev5 to the Rev7. I love playing events with this controller. The audio is so crisp and so clean when I send it through my mixer and then through to my speakers. One thing that I didn't realize when I was cruising around on YouTube, auditioning a lot of different controllers, is that a lot of DJs on YouTube will record the audio directly from Serato. So when they're playing with their FLX4, all you're hearing is an unconverted digital file. It's recording what they're doing in Serato, which is great. You can hear all the different kind of scratchings. Everything's so cool, but you're not actually hearing what it sounds like once it comes out of the controller into a speaker. And that's one of the things that I found made such a big difference at the events that I'm DJing. So for example, I'm gonna show you what this Rev7 sounds like, and then I'm gonna show you my little hack with my FLX4 to make that sound quality go way up. And I'll show you here. This is the sound going into my mixer out of the actual XLR outputs. And then I'll switch it over to the purely digital file that I recorded in my Serato. Very small difference. Okay, so we've got the Rev7 going. Everything's awesome. I want to show you now the little hack that I came up with because I wanted a smaller, more compact setup. I do a lot of karaoke gigs as well. Showing up to a karaoke gig where they just want you DJing a little bit. It's not really like a feature performance as a DJ, something a little smaller, more compact. I picked up an FLX4 and I loved the way it felt, I loved the way it worked. I didn't love the way that it sounded. So I'll show you what I came up with to take a DDJ FLX4 and turn the sound quality way up without adding a lot of extra gear to be hauling around or a lot of extra expense if you're still working on a budget starting your DJ career. And enter a new era. I'm gonna disconnect the Rev7 and connect all of this gear. Okay, so I've set up this rig. Here is what I would bring to a smaller gig. And I also connected this DI just to hear the difference between using the physical outputs, the RCA outputs on the FLX4 versus an actual audio interface. Here we have the Scarlett 4i4 4th gen. You don't actually need something this big, but this is only around $400 Canadian. I'm not sure what that is, US, but it's a relatively inexpensive interface. You can get something even smaller, but what matters is you're getting something with a really nice DAC, and the converters in these Focusrite Scarletts, the 4th gen specifically, are really tremendous, especially considering the price point. We've got our FLX4 here. I've taken the RCA out into this Radial Pro AV2. That's just so I could get it all the way down to my mixer. That doesn't really change the sound of the output. If anything, it's going to make it a little bit better than just the pure RCA. It's also worth noting that when I'm taking the outputs that are unbalanced RCA here from the FLX4 itself, it's going to need a little bit of gain from your mixer. I couldn't send that directly into a speaker generally and get it as loud as I could, say, coming from an interface or with something like more robust outputs in a Rev 7. So we're running it through this AV2, and I want to show you the difference when I hit play on the same song we just heard on the Rev 7, and just hear the difference when we're hearing the outputs of this, which is the RCA outputs, and then switching it to the outputs of the interface. But before we do that, I'm going to show you how I discovered this little hack. There's a setting in Serato that is relatively recent as far as I understand, and I think most people use it for practicing. Say you've got your FLX or something, you've got your laptop, you want to work on a couple routines, but you want to be able to hear and you don't want to have to set up cables, maybe you don't even have headphones with you. You can, in Serato, navigate to the settings, over to the audio panel, and you can enable a button that's called Use Laptop Speakers, and it says output audio to your default audio device, e.g. laptop speakers or external sound card. That to me is what got me thinking, as well as your connected DJ hardware. So it's going to send out here simultaneously, but it's also going to, whatever your currently selected audio output is of your, for my example, for my case, it's a MacBook, but whatever laptop or computer you're using, whatever the currently selected audio output is, when you open up Serato and connect your FLX4, it's going to send the audio out of that as well. For my example, I'm using this Focusrite Scarlett. You can get better interfaces, but for the use case of trying to travel light, travel relatively cheap, and get robust sound quality, I think this, maybe the 2i2 are some of the absolute best options in the game. I would still connect my headphones to the FLX4 because the Q mix won't translate. So if I want to hear my cues, I would still use the FLX4's headphone output. But for the mains out, sending to the mixer, sending to the speaker, we're going to use the Focusrite. So now that we've got this use laptop speakers turned on, and once again, you have to make sure that before you plug in your controller and open up Serato, you've got that selected in your screen. I will show you here. Sound output, Scarlett 4i4 4th gen. So we're back to Serato. I'm going to play that same song. Okay, so right now we're listening to the output of the actual RCA outputs. It's fine, and in a pinch, it doesn't really make that big a difference. What I'm talking about is when you're using a nice mixer, a nice speaker system, or in a larger room, that lack of depth, the lack of bass response, lack of clarity in the highs, it is going to start to be noticeable. So let's switch over to the 4i4. You can hear such a big difference between these two outputs. And it's only the difference of, like I said, about $400 Canadian. You can find these on the used market for even less. It's super portable. It's USB bus powered. You just run your two TRS 1/4 inch cables out of there into whatever mixer. They're high outputs. They're high level outputs, which means you're not going to really need to add gain in your mixer or your speakers. You got control of the level right here, the front knob on the 4i4. If you want, you can even run a microphone into the inputs of the Focusrite, which generally is going to sound a lot nicer than the microphone input into the FLX4. That's one thing that I also have been considering. Now, I always use an external mixer, so I would just plug my microphone directly into my Allen & Heath mixer. But if I was running a gig without that directly into speakers, I'd probably use the mic input, the microphone preamp, and the ADC, analog to digital converter, in this Focusrite instead of what's built into the FLX4. The FLX4 is a great budget option, but because it's a budget option, they have to save money somewhere. And a lot of where they save money is the microphone preamp, the ADC, the DAC, things like that. I don't blame them. They made a great product, but these are places where we can make up for it without having to upgrade to a $3,000 controller like the Rev 7, which is big and bulky and has its own pros and cons. Just adding this, throw it in your backpack, and you're off to the races. So this is my little hack for doing smaller events where I don't want to lug around my big controller, but keeping pristine sound quality. We all spend so much time getting our files right, getting our mixes right, investing in good speakers, investing in a good mixer, and to sacrifice that with some cheap outputs of a budget controller, to me just seems like a waste when you could so easily with something like this, or even you can get smaller, more budget-friendly options. You can upgrade that sound so much. Keep those big bass, keep that pristine, clear high end, and present the absolute best quality music for your audience because they deserve it. I'm DJ John Pike. You can check out all my links, everything that I do. Let me know in the comments, have you come up with other hacks to upgrade the sound quality at your live events? Do you have any advice or disagreements with what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to the discussion. I'll see you guys next time.